Welcome back to another Q&A with your awesome twosome, none other than the British Fist.
Coaching!
Mr. Parkin here, NJ there.
What's up?
It's time for a British Fist of Rooney? I don't know, I was just thinking of really odd. That just sounds odd. A British Fist of Rooney. That sounds like a sexual move or something. Q&A 153, guys! Ignoring that thing I just said. If you have any questions, comment down below. Superfan931, continuing from the last Q&A. We apologise, I missed your question out. We're going to do it as the first question on this Q&A. Apologies. Do you see any superstar diva joining the Wyatt family in the near future, or will the Wyatt family remain as just a trio? You know, I think it's best they remain a trio for now, but if it does start getting a little bit stale, then I guess they could add members to it then. But for now, I think for the next year or two, it should stay as a trio.
A part of me thought there was going to be another member added, but it turned out to be that freaky kid, that pay-per-view on Extreme Rules. But the fact that he's not a proper member sticks a 3 because the Shield will break up and go their own ways, but the Wyatt family works a 3, Bray's the leader, and he's more about collecting the fans than collecting other members.
Just imagine if the Wyatt family were the tag team champions and the world champion. How good that would be.
Brilliant idea.
In NXT, they were the tag team champions, and I really wanted Bray Wyatt to win the NXT championship just so they could be like a massively dominant faction, but it didn't work out that way because they were just too good for that world championship. It's like the streak. Too good for the championship. JP Payne, pick one to push and one to fire. Rollins and Ambrose. Do you know what? I would say keep Rollins because I think we need someone like him on the roster.
I'm going to agree with that because Rollins, I think with the moves that he's been putting on and his standout on the mic, Dean Ambrose is good on the mic, but I preferred more Rollins than Ambrose.
I think Rollins adds a little bit more variety, but at the same time, Ambrose adds something as well. I mean, you're asking us to pick between you're asking me to pick between Rooney and Van Persie. You know, I just can't decide. Rollins and Ambrose, I'd keep both. But if I had a gun to my head, keep Rollins. Reigns and Cesaro. Reigns, easy.
Keep Reigns.
Cesaro's good, but he's no Roman Reigns. Paige and AJ.
Paige, keep.
That's another difficult one because AJ Lee is good, but it's just Paige is 21 and she's got so much time to improve. Ziggler or Rhodes? Cody Rhodes. Fuck Dolph Ziggler. Cody Rhodes.
Ziggler's a good performer, but I think
that's it.
I think Cody Rhodes has the mic and stuff, so I'll go with Cody Rhodes.
I just think Ziggler is just a good performer, and that's it. I mean, he may be a great performer, but what else does he really offer in terms of character? I mean, you could say the same about Cody Rhodes, but at least at one point his character was really hot. Ryback and Rusev. Ryback. Because Rusev
I think Ryback has cut. I've said this before. He's okay on the promo when he did that beyond John Cena. His wrestling skills
are improving.
He's had some dominance, and Rusev, he's new, but I don't see
Goldust / RVD, the veterans here. I mean, Goldust has done really well. I'd say Goldust. I mean, he's not going to be around for much longer, but Goldust, ever since he's come in, has done a hell of a job.
I think the WWE can trust Goldust more.
A certain 420. Goonie. Batista or Orton? Orton, because he'll be there for much longer than Batista. Rose or Bo Dallas? Oh, Adam Rose every day of the week. That's weird. What's your thoughts on Adam Rose? I love Adam Rose. He's my favourite.
Dallas.
Oh, fuck you, man. Bryan or Wyatt? Oh, Wyatt. Oh, every day of the week. Wyatt is amazing. You can't get a hotter character in WWE than Bray Wyatt.
But the internet nerds love Bray Wyatt. No, you don't love John Cena. Daniel Bryan. But
no, you pretty much said Daniel Bryan, John Cena. Daniel Bryan is the new John Cena.
So I go with Bray Wyatt.
Cena or Carly? Easy Cena.
Carly.
Why the fuck would you want to go with Carly? Cena, of course.
Yeah.
The Rossi Bossy, and I'm not making this name up, the Rossi Bossy 1987. Bray Wyatt, The Shield, or Bryan in the main event of Elimination Chamber at Extreme Rules. Okay, if that was going to happen, I imagine this is some sort of fantasy booking thing. Main event, I mean, I'd say Bryan simply because he's the WWE champion, and I think after ending WrestleMania, the champion on top and being in the final segment, he should be in the final segment of the next, just to prove he's not a mid-card champion. And they did that at Extreme Rules, to be fair to them. I didn't think they would.
So you talk about the main event of
Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules.
I think so. I think that's what that means there.
If I had to choose out of those 3 matches we got, again, with everything going on, yes, it's great to finish with the World Heavyweight Championship, but the Shield match and the story behind that, I wouldn't mind which of those 2, but I'm a bit more towards the Shield.
To be honest, I think the Shield Evolution match, it had a place in the middle of the card. It could have easily been the main event, but I think it's good that they've actually gave that main event spot to Daniel Bryan because, like I said, it may have felt like a mid-card feud, but at least they didn't do CM Punk and put it in the mid-card. That's all I'll say. Theo Olcott, do you think bringing back Evolution is a good idea? For temporary reasons, yes. I mean, if you don't know what to do with Batista, Orton, and Triple H individually, why not put them together as a group and have them put over the Shield, who are 3 up-and-coming talents?
At first, yes, because it was meant to save Batista, but that kind of slipped up. And the other thing is, they didn't break up the Shield members, so what other 3 members could they have had for them to face?
Exactly. And this is a big match for the Shield, which they could put in their feather cap for when they eventually probably become main event stars. Who would you like to see the next WWE champion? Probably Brock Lesnar would be good to see as the WWE champion. I think purely because I think him not being there every week would make him a better champion because of the fact that you don't see him as much, and it feels a little bit more special when you see a WWE champion. You kind of look at that both ways, really.
I'm kind of curious, because when he's not here, he's not really building up the rematch for the next championship match.
Heyman, isn't it?
And then Heyman has to do the work like usual. I could joke and say Triple H to get his revenge with Daniel Bryan, but I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Who do you think will be the biggest star, Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose? It just depends. I mean, Dean Ambrose reminds me so much of a mix between Brian Pillman and Roddy Piper. He could be a heel. He could be a top heel. He really could. But Seth Rollins, he just has that little bit of, I don't know what you'd call it. It just has that little bit more, in my opinion, especially when WWE need baby faces. He just offers that little bit more in terms of what he does and how he excites the crowd and everything.
I'm going to put my money because the surprise factor, because at first you thought it was Ambrose and Reigns, but Rollins has outshone himself in wrestling, mic work. I think the fact that they don't likely have Jeff Hardy coming back, I think the fact that Rollins is here, they could have a longer stretch with Rollins. So Rollins.
He'd be a perfect fit for that sort of like, no, I don't care about the risks Jeff Hardy kind of character, wouldn't he? So Howard Starr, who would win in a match? Bad News Barrett or Bad News Brown?
I saw this.
Bad News Barrett? I don't know. Bad News Barrett? I didn't see this.
What
was this?
Brown. There was just this picture that someone made of these two faces.
Right. Bad News Brown then, because he's old school.
I'm going to go with Barrett, because obviously you compare how stuff are now to how things used to be. It's improved, so I think Barrett, yeah.
Sheamus versus Ultimate Warrior. Well, the match unfortunately can't happen for obvious reasons, but I'd still go the Ultimate Warrior. He's just one of the biggest stars in wrestling.
Even though that bro kick can come out of nowhere, I'm going to give it to the Ultimate Warrior.
He could give 5 bro kicks out of nowhere, but Ultimate Warrior wouldn't sell that.
He didn't sell the pedigree.
No, at WrestleMania 12. Sure as fuck he didn't. And Eric Young versus Santino Marella in a comedy match. Yeah, even though Eric Young is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, I'd probably actually give it to Eric Young because he is actually really good in the ring. He's a good worker. In a comedy match, I guess you'd say Santino. I don't know. I don't really care. Multiple Man 78. What do you consider to be the best Divas finishing move? Paige's finisher is fantastic. I'm surprised the commentators don't mark out more for it.
Even though Emma has a good submission move too, I'm going to give her submission. But out of the 2 submission moves, even though I did like Beth Phoenix's, I'm going to give it to Paige. Yeah.
Also, Multiple Man 78, my personal favourite would be Victoria's Widow's Peak. How the fuck did you forget about that? Layla Fairview, NJ. That's him. What's the story of Terminator NJ? Has the British Fest sadly changed and you are still going to go... Are you still going to go to a wrestling event? So, what's the story of Terminator NJ? It was a way of pretty much just you ranting, wasn't it? And bringing out your angry side.
That was the best way for me to break NJ. But as for a further story about him, don't know.
We never really planned it. And you're still going to go to a wrestling event?
It's going to happen.
Me, I am probably not, because I really have no desire to at this present moment in time. But you can go. Both. That's us. I think you should at least make a British Fist t-shirt just so you have one and so it's on your own merch. What do you guys think? Well, you've got your own t-shirt. I haven't got my t-shirt, but I mean, a British Fist t-shirt, it wouldn't be a bad idea just for the novelty factor. We wouldn't sell it or anything, but it'd just be for the novelty factor, really.
You're right earlier by saying we've changed over time, so the British Fist are not as but a t-shirt just so it's there, so we have something that represents the 3 years would be a brilliant idea.
Get on it then. Gordon Armstrong, you're the brains of this operation. I'm just the talk and all that stuff. Gordon Armstrong, do you think that Roman Reigns will turn on the Shield and become the future star in Evolution Mark II? And no, I mean, if it was going to happen, it would have happened at Extreme Rules. But to be honest, there wouldn't have been much point in putting Roman Reigns in the Evolution faction because they're not going to stay around for too much longer. You're better off keeping him with the Shield for now.
I'm going to minus the Evolution part of the question, stick on the break with the Shield. I think Reigns is up there. He feels he's like the powerful one. So I think to give a spot to Ambrose or Rollins, it'll be one of those two to break the Shield.
I think them two might turn on him so he remains babyface. I think that would be the idea. I think they definitely want to push him as a babyface, so they'd have to have them two turn on him for him to be a babyface. That's the only logical way of really doing it. And do you think they will kick Triple H out for Reigns to be the heel and Triple H to be the face in the SummerSlam match? Not going to happen. No. Also, what are your favourite stand-up comedians? Oh, tons. I used to fucking buy DVDs every Christmas. What?
One-liners.
What? You mean Stuart Francis?
Rob Brydon.
Stuart Francis is fucking amazing. I love Stuart Francis.
Brilliant.
There's I saw a frisbee coming towards me. And then it hit me. Some of the fucking one-liners, you put that on Facebook, didn't you? Sean Locke is really good. What was it? The Riddler! The Riddler!
Lee Mack.
Lee Mack is fantastic. Not Going Out is a good show. Brilliant show. Lee Evans, I like Lee Evans quite a lot. He's very eccentric. Ed Byrne, I'm a big fan of. There's so many. I just can't remember them all off the top of my head. Billy Connolly is another good one. Anyone watch that documentary about him battling with Parkinson's and I believe he had some form of cancer as well. I thought that was a pretty good program. But there are so many. There are so many good stand-up comedians right now. Untype 1. Name your top 3 wrestlers that turned full-time commentator from the PG era, Attitude era, and the Superhero era, also known as the Hogan era. Jesse Ventura, number 1. Macho Man Randy Savage, number 2. And
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, but he went from commentator to wrestler, so it doesn't really work. I don't want to say Taz, but I can't think of any other fucking wrestlers. Can you think of any others?
That teacher.
Jerry Lawler.
Oh, I was thinking.
Oh, Matt Striker.
Matt Striker.
You think of Matt Striker? Alex Riley.
Yes.
There's one for you for the future. 5. Knockley. Do you think Bray Wyatt is better positioned for a main event spot than Roman Reigns is? It can swing around, swings and roundabouts, really. I mean, Bray Wyatt and Shield are both factions, in my opinion, that are on about the same level. I think the Shield are just a little bit higher than the Wyatt family right now. But both of those factions have a potential to be real big players and create real big stars using them, in my opinion.
I'd break Roman Reigns for the main event because, yes, we have one against John Cena, the other against Triple H. But I think the fact that the Shield are likely to break up and need their individual movements, while the Bray Wyatt could go after other named wrestlers, I think it's Reigns' time.
Yes, I think you can do a lot more. I mean, Bray Wyatt, you've already feuded him with Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, John Cena, Kane, a load of babyfaces. Roman Reigns, individually hasn't really feuded with anyone yet, so it would create more options if you let Roman Reigns go on his own, etc. This is an interesting one. Can NJ ever wear a Sin Cara mask and come out to his theme music and lighting during a future Raw review? Number 1, the mask is too expensive and he's gone now. Number 2, we could get the theme music. Number 3, we don't have the lighting.
I do botch quite a bit. Yes, I do. Yes.
So you could definitely be Sin Cara. Next, we would have to release you from the British Fist in order for you to be really Sin Cara. I'm the king of the world! WWE and TNA talk. Why did TNA title reign of Magnus suck so much? Why did TNA book it so badly? I have no fucking idea.
I'll tell you why.
It befuddles me as to why.
It's horrible. First British World Champion. The real reason is Dixie Carter. She's a curse. I don't understand how you can take Magnus, unless TNA had zero faith in him,
But yet Eric Young can get clean victories on people. I understand Eric Young is a face and Magnus was a heel and they were doing this whole paper champion stuff, but wow, you've just really fucked Magnus up. You know, really, it's got to the point now where that was so bad for Magnus that he's basically going to have to go down to the bottom and work his way back up again. That's how bad it was, really. Do you think it was the right move to put the title on Eric Young? I mean, it depends on your perspective. I mean, you know, it was a Daniel Bryan storyline ripoff. It was to try and pop a rating, and it did for 1 week, and now they're back to doing 0.8 and 0.9s. So it didn't really work. So in essence, it wasn't the right move to put the title on Eric Young. You know, more to come in TNA on that department with regards to MVP. Renegade Man 83. Which upcoming next wrestler will have a longer career, Adam Rose or Alexander Rusev? I think both have got quite short-term gimmicks. Adam Rose is a fun gimmick, and you could do a lot with it, but that won't probably last very long, unfortunately. Rusev's gimmick, again, probably won't last very long either. It's one of those gimmicks where as soon as he loses to someone, the gimmick is going to lose loads of steam. So a toss-up between either of them, I'll probably say Rusev because he's a more serious wrestler that you could put in there.
Even if Rose loses that gimmick he's got right now and becomes serious, I think Rusev's build and possible dominance is something that's going to attract him to go into other bigger matches and feuds.
I take it you're not a Rosebud then.
Next question.
You're a fucking party pooper. You know that, don't you? Do you think that Jeff Jarrett will make himself champion when he starts his new promotion like he did with TNA? Well, this is Jeff Jarrett. You never know. But you know, there's a lot of talent they can pluck out there. I mean, they've still got like Elijah Burke, who was the Pope in TNA. I think he'd be a perfect face for that company, like someone like the Pope Angelo Dinero, who was really entertaining during this 2010-11 run with TNA. I don't think he can. I mean, I'm sorry. If he does, no one will watch Global Force Wrestling. It just so no. I would hope not, but you never fucking know, Jeff Jarrett. That's all I'll say. Anything more to add to that, NJ?
I can see it happening.
Do you think it hurt Magnus' credibility as a top heel when he lost to Eric Young? Oh, yeah. I mean, you lose the title to Eric Young, who was, at the time, wasn't really built up. I mean, remember at Lockdown when they had that segment with Eric Young and Abyss, and we were like thinking, oh, do you know what? They might do it. It looks like they're teasing Eric Young and Magnus. We never actually thought it was happening. We were laughing about it at the time. And then it went and fucking happened. So Magnus' credibility has gone from there, paper champion, now losing to Eric Young. It's gone back down again, right to the fucking bottom.
There was the likes of, will you marry me? All that kind of stuff and ripping up his pants and all that that Eric Young went through. He went through a feud with Abyss, and that does not really count you as, oh, I'm ready for the World Eric Championship. And he went through that, and when it came to the championship match, yes, low blow happened and a threatened World Heavyweight Championship slap, but still, Magnus lost the rematch. So I think the fact that a guy who was Dixie Carter's buddy and meant to be the top heel at the time, this is your champion speaking. No, it's horrible. It's ruined. Horrible. Eric Young, no.
There was a silent paper in that champion. Yeah, terrible. Awful. That's why. That's one of the main reasons why I stopped watching TNA, because it sucks. It just does. What is more acceptable? John Cena beating Ric Flair's title reign, or Hornswoggle being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion? John Cena beating Ric Flair's title reign, because at least then, you know, John Cena's been a top guy. At least you could say, you know, he's been a top guy for like 10 odd years. That's believable. But Hornswoggle being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, not believable.
I'd say acceptable. I think if Hornswoggle somehow, let's say, Roman Reigns just knocked out the heel champion, and then if he did a frog splash on the top, I think the fact that the champ will be knocked out. So I'm going to go.
Speaking of being knocked out, I'm going to knock you out with these fucking pool balls if you don't change your fucking mind. There's going to be a big dent in that forehead of yours about the width of this pool ball. Change your mind.
And thank you very much for watching, people. That's been a video from the British Beast, Mr. Parkin, and me and Jay. Thank you very much for watching, and good.